Good morning, everyone, and welcome to TTG's webinar with CroisiEurope. I'm Catherine Masters, Features Editor at TTG, and I'm delighted to be joined by John Fair, who is UK Sales Director at CroisiEurope. Thank you for joining me today, John.
Absolute pleasure.
Today, we are going to be talking about CroisiEurope, your European river cruise program, your worldwide program as well. We're going to talk about something which is hot off the press, which is your exciting new fly cruise packages. And then we're also going to make sure that agents know exactly how they can be working with CroisiEurope and all the tools that they need to sell your river cruises. So, to start with, would you like to set the scene and just give us a little bit of an introduction into CroisiEurope and what it offers?
Certainly. CroisiEurope are a little bit of a hidden secret to many agents. We are, in fact, Europe's largest river cruise operator. We have over 50 ships, which makes us the second largest cruise line in the world in terms of fleet size. And we sail on rivers, clearly. But we also have canal barges, and we've got lake ships in Africa, and also 2 ocean-going ships. So we've got a real range of products. But the main focus for us, obviously, are rivers. That means we sail in over 37 different countries on over 30 different waters. So we've got a real wide range of products to offer the travel agent community. We are a family-run company based in Strasbourg, 45 years of experience, which means that we have a unique perspective in terms of what clients need, what they want, and what we can offer. And so we put a lot of effort into our ship standards, into itineraries, into the food particularly. And of course, because you can do that, you can sail on just about every river on Europe with us. So it's a wide range of product that agents can really get their teeth stuck into.
And you're a French company. How much does that translate to the experience on board? When customers go on board the ships, are they going to be eating French food? Are they going to be hearing sort of French language spoken?
Yeah, clearly it is an influence, without question. But we are international on board. So yes, the food is French, very high quality, as you'd expect, with the French loving their food, but with an international twist. And likewise on board. So it is an eclectic feel on board. There will undoubtedly be French customers, but also probably many different European customers, but also British and Irish, Americans, Canadians, and I could put a huge list forward. So it's a very eclectic feel on board. Languages, most announcements are in two announcements, English and French. The menus in English and French. The crew who deal with customers in the majority speak very good English. So there's no language barriers whatsoever. As long as customers understand it's a real eclectic cultural mix, which most people love.
Brilliant. And what about the ships themselves? How new are they? Have you added quite a lot in recent years?
We have premium and standard ships. So premium ships, we have 26 currently in the fleet. Some of those have been built, the latest one, 2019 on the Douro. Others have been older ships that we have refurbished. And when I say refurbished, I mean literally gutted from the inside out and moved from standard to premium. So we have a very loyal base for both types of ships. The standard ships are just slightly darker wood, slightly older in nature, and maybe slightly smaller cabins. But our premium ships, as I said, are ranged between those that have been refurbished and those that have been built. And we have, as I said, just 26 of them.
And on board, what kind of sort of communal facilities do you offer? Where might customers be spending their time on board when they're not in their cabins?
We focus on 3 main things really, which is the food, the service, and the itinerary. So we don't, as a brand, particularly go for things like gyms and spas on board. That's a little bit different when we get to somewhere like the Mekong, which I know we'll talk about later. They do have spas, but general principle in Europe, it's all about a really good restaurant, a really good bar area, plenty of space, very convivial, and then that very important top deck where people can go up and enjoy the all-inclusive product, because we are all-inclusive for drinks on board, and then go up and enjoy the all-inclusive drinks and watch the world go by from that top deck. Yeah, it's an open bar. We do have a small charge for top-end champagnes and whiskies and stuff like that, but everything else is included in the cruise fare. We don't include excursions. Excursions are extra with us. Okay. Our experience over 45 years has told us that customers like to pick and choose what they do. So we have pre-bookable excursions, but they are fully commissionable to our travel agent partners, so that it's a win-win situation. They can pick what they want and earn commission on them.
Brilliant. So tell us about some of those excursions that are on offer. What are the choices between?
We have two types of excursions. We have classic excursions and discovery excursions. Classic does what it says on the tin. They are, traditional, what you might more traditional, say Vienna, a city tour of Vienna, city tour of Budapest. And then discovery are more experiential. So there might be hot air balloon rides over the Dordogne, jeep safaris in the Camargue, pasta making in Venice, all those sort of things where people can get a slightly more deep dive into local cultures and experiences.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, they are good, and the discovery ones have sold really well. They only came in, I'm going to get my years wrong now, I think about 2018, but they've grown in popularity.
Okay, fab. And for the UK market, what tends to be the most popular river in Europe?
For us, no surprise, the Douro. We are sort of kings of the Douro. We've got 6 ships on the Douro, which is the biggest fleet by some considerable margin for an individual company. So we've got plenty of capacity, 25,000 bed nights on the Douro. So that, as you can imagine, is very popular, both for groups and charters, because we do a lot of those, but also for individual cabin bookings. But on top of that, as you'd expect, the Rhine and the Danube are very popular. But also, I suppose our unique point is we have some rivers that nobody else has. So the Guadalquivir in Spain, the Loire Valley in France, we are the only ships on those rivers. So if you want to sail them, you have to sail with us. And then, whilst we're not unique, we also have a ship in the middle of Venice, which is very popular with the UK, simply because of the nature of people wanting to see Venice. And it's all inclusive and right in the middle of Venice, so that's a good combination.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely brilliant. And the Spanish river that you referred to, that sounds very unusual. Sort of what can customers expect along there?
It is the Guadalquivir, if agents don't know it, runs from through Andalusia, so it runs from Seville down to Cadiz. So people join the ship in Seville, have a couple of days in Seville and Cordoba, and then sail down to Cadiz. The ship is specially built so it can go out into the open ocean, because obviously Cadiz is slightly around the coast. So it's a specially built ship, and we do a lot of business on the UK market for that.
Yeah, that sounds fab. And then where else beyond Europe do you offer? Tell us about the other regions where you are.
Well, on the cruise front, we've got a large program on the Mekong. We've got 2 lake ships in Africa, on Lake Kariba in Zimbabwe. They're new to the program. We own our own safari lodges, so we mix safari lodges and cruising in Africa. We also now have a program on the Nile, and we also have a small program on the Ganges, which will grow in the future. At the moment, that's a sort of a rollover from pre-COVID, and we're just testing the water with the Ganges. So a real eclectic mix again worldwide, for people who want to go a little bit further.
What sort of things do you offer along the Ganges? What might sort of be a typical day for clients who are booking that tour?
The Ganges, obviously, you're going to all the major sites on that river. It's an 8-night, 9-day package. You do lots of pre and post, Taj Mahal and all that. So it's a real deep dive into Indian culture and all the major cities along that river. As we'll look at expanding the Ganges in future seasons to come. But our main focus really on long haul at the moment is, as I said, is the Mekong and Africa, and the Nile, which has come back really strongly.
Brilliant. So tell us about the Mekong.
Well, we have 5 ships on the Mekong, so a really good range of product, and they range from our smallest ship, which is 22 passengers, up to our biggest ship, which is 62 passengers. 62 passengers being our 5-star ship, if you like, 5-star ship, and our smallest ship being more of a expedition, sort of get a deep dive into the Mekong culture. Like many other operators, we do pretty standard 10-night, 11 days on the Mekong from Ho Chi Minh to Siem Reap, or vice versa. But we do offer add-ons into Halong Bay and Hanoi, which a lot of people, if they're going that far, do add on. I suppose one of our most unique features on the Mekong, aside from the fleet size, is that all of our ships are built with a really low draft. For those agents who don't know, the draft is effectively the piece of ship that's below the water, and that means that we can sail most occasions right from Siem Reap, literally from Siem Reap into Ho Chi Minh, the entire length. There's no coach journeys involved with us. Some other operators have to take people off and coach them on certain parts, particularly close to Ho Chi Minh City. So we can literally on the majority of departures go the whole length of the journey on the ships, which is great.
And what are the sites along the riverbank like? You know, what when you're sailing along, what do you see?
It's quite. I mean, I was lucky enough to do it in 2018 when we did the Clear conference out there. When you're up in obviously from Siem Reap, the famous Angkor Wat, and then you're sailing across the lake and down the Cambodian rivers, it's much narrower. You're really close to the life on the Cambodian life, close to the river edge, and then obviously you reach Phnom Penh with its most fantastic royal palaces. And then once you cross the border into Vietnam, you're heading down and it widens. The Mekong is a fairly major river. Again, you're stopping all the way down into smaller places, markets, temples, even went to a bee farm, snake wine. So a real dive into what, you know, the local culture. And then, of course, you reach the Gao Canal, which is one of the busiest shipping lanes, I believe, in the world, when it's quite fascinating just to watch all these huge ships but passing each other and overtaking each other, but in a very ordered manner, before you head into Ho Chi Minh City, which is the city of 8 million mopeds, so reliably formed. So, and you take your life in your hand crossing the road, but it's, again, a fantastic city. So a really, really, really eye-opening cruise. And I'm pleased to say we were we were the first to reopen on the Mekong, and it's now flourishing, which is really good news for everybody, I think.
Brilliant. Does it tend to attract a slightly sort of younger, more adventurous clientele than perhaps sort of, you know, typically in Europe?
Maybe not on the age bracket, but certainly yes. I mean, it is more vigorous. Should we use that word? Although European river cruising now with bicycles and walking and hiking, you know, it's not maybe the image that it had. And we offer all of those on the European products. But if you're going to go to the Mekong, then most people are fairly active. And want to get off the ship and take that walk into Cambodian and Vietnam culture. Brilliant.
And what's the best time of year? Is there, you know, a time that you just don't operate or you don't advise going?
Yeah, nearly all the operators sail from August to April. That's the season for the Mekong. My favourite, in August, they call it the green season. It is wetter, and you probably will see rain most days. Not torrential rain, but you'll probably see some sort of rain most days. But then the vegetation and the fauna are just in glorious colour. That's my favourite time. But you can sail the whole river. It just obviously gets hotter as the season goes on. So it depends how much you want the heat. And certainly by the time you reach the March, April, it's fairly steamy. But the whole season is fantastic to travel on.
Brilliant. And how about the food on board for the Mekong cruises? Does it tend to have a bit of an Asian influence because of the areas that you're sailing through?
Yes, it does. I mean, there's always that underlying French influence, but I think you probably call it Asian fusion. I think they like to call it. You certainly will have Asian dishes and Asian influence on the food, as well as some more traditional, if you like, French cuisine. So it's a mix on board. So you can have both, and the Asian food is delicious.
Great. And how far in advance are you booking for these cruises?
By their nature, they tend to be further out. So majority of our Mekong bookings tend to be 6 to 9 months in advance. We currently have winter, got to get my years right now, 23-24 is on sale, so you can book right through to April 24, and we are seeing bookings into 24 for that product.
And tell us about your new fly cruise packages, which you described to me as a game changer, which is brilliant.
It is. I mean, up until for the agents who do know us or don't know us, up until the end of February, we only ever sold cruise only. And you know, established ourselves very well in that respect, but a lot of agents openly told us that they were a little bit wary of that, particularly post-COVID with all the financial risks. So we decided we moved our call centre up to Yorkshire with a partner who's got an ATOL licence, and they are now licensed to sell as us under their ATOL licence. So I'm delighted that agents listening to this can ring us for a fully ATOL protected package. So we sell flights, trains, ferries, cruises, hotels, anything that goes together to make up a package. We can now do that, and for agents it is all fully commissionable. So there's no hidden charges or drops, non-commissionable parts of the package. So it's a real step forward for us, and it's been a good start, I'm pleased to say. But obviously there are a lot of agents out there who maybe haven't worked with us or may want to work with us, and now can have the packages, which is great news.
Brilliant. So it's a real one-stop shop for, you're offering everything now.
Yes, I mean, people still want to book cruise only. They can book cruise only via the call centre, or they can book cruise only online. But if they want a package, they have to call us at the moment. We will look at technology to make it online at some stage, but one step at a time. And I'm delighted with how it started, and certainly some of our agents who have worked with us in the past have already been on the phone, absolutely delighted to book the packages. So that it's been really positive, and something that we've been trying to get in place for a long time.
That's brilliant. Tell us about the team. You've got an on-the-road team who are out meeting agents, is that right?
Yeah, I like to call it small but perfectly formed. We have one of my colleagues, Gabrielle, does all our groups and charters. We are big for those agents out there who do groups and charters. We do a lot of groups and charters, and we support operators like Titan and Saga and Voyage Jules Verne. They often charter our ships. And so Gabrielle takes care of that. And then I've just taken on a lady called Janine Sykes, who's going to be our BDM in the north and Scotland. And she'll be on the road, which is a whole new thing for us, because it really was, I suppose, just me, and getting out to see agents was more difficult. But we do things with things like Tiptoe. We're a member of Tiptoe. So we've met, literally last year, I met over 1,000 agents through Tiptoe. But then Janine will now be on the road for those who are in the north and Scotland region. And the hope is to have an equivalent in the south by the end of the year. So we are small, but we are available, and we will get out on the road as much as possible.
What about some of the online tools that are available for agents?
A number of things. We obviously have our agent booking site, on which people can hold options, so they can apply for logins to that, and we'll get those to them within 24 hours. And on there's all the product. It's a mirror of our direct site, because, being very blunt, we do sell direct, but it's always price parity, so agents are never undercut. And so they can use the sites for reference, and then they can book on the agent site if they wish, although that is cruise only at the moment. So a package, as I said, you need to call. And then we've got a YouTube channel with over 100 videos, all open source. Agents can take those. We've got a Facebook page, which is CroisiEurope UK. Over 600 people are on that page. Well, I always get confused with a page and a group, but one of them, it's on. They're on there if they go and find it. And then obviously we do webinars, we do face-to-face training. Janine will now be on the road. So there's the whole plethora of stuff that people can do with us. We have commercial agreements with the vast majority of all the consortia. Or independents can come to us direct. So we're well set up to work with the trade.
Brilliant. And possible opportunities for fam trips in the pipeline, so that agents can actually experience the product?
Yes, we do. We're aiming for probably 3 or 4 this year. It's in my inbox to do, but I will get to it now, especially now Janine's on board. And we will be taking key agents to a number of rivers throughout Europe through the course of the year. We believe it's a good way to. People have got to earn the place on those. They've got to, we're not just going to take people who've never worked with us, but those who start to show an interest and engage with us, we will offer them the opportunity to get on the ships.
And is there anything that's coming up new for 2023?
Not so much new, I have to say. Well, obviously, we focus on the packaging. We've always been a very progressive company in building new ships, which we referred to at the beginning of this conversation. But 2023 is more of a year of total consolidation. We had a reasonably strong 22, and 23 is looking very healthy. And then the company, I'm sure, will look for further growth in 24, 25 and beyond. But obviously for us, the focus this year is very much about growing the team and working with agents as much as possible, and those packages.
You've given us lots of information there, John. That's brilliant. If you wanted agents to take away, 3 key messages from this webinar, what would you say to them?
Number one will be the amazing value for money. I know I'm slightly biased, but if you look at our average cruise only price is about £1,700 for a 7-night all-inclusive European river cruise. That's amazing value when you work out what it would cost to go to an individual city break, say somewhere like the Danube with 3 different cities. So it's amazing value. We're very confident where we sit in the market, so we don't pretend to be those who charge, the Amazon, the Avalons, who are great brands, but charge far more than we do. We're very happy where we are. So we offer agents great value for money. The sheer range of product, as I said, we are the only operator who literally have a ship on just about every navigable river in Europe. So people can come to us for not only the major rivers, but also, as I mentioned earlier, Italy and Spain and the Douro and the Loire Valley. And then the Atoll, just to say to agents, you can now have confidence to book with us. We will financially protect you. So please, apply for your logins, make contact with myself or with Janine, and we will work with you. We have plenty of special offers. We package up, obviously, some really good offers out there at the moment. We've got offers on Italy and the Loire and the Rhone and the Danube. There's a whole long list. I won't go through it all. But we have plenty of product that they can get their teeth into.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing your insight into CroisiEurope today. We really hope that agents have found it useful and are inspired to book more river cruises. Don't forget to check out all the training tools that John mentioned for CroisiEurope, and also our training hub on TTG Media for more educational content. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you very much for joining me today, John.
Thank you very much for having me.